Okay, we are filming, and this is exciting. Um, maybe when we get done, I'll just edit the good parts. Later in this episode of Tutor, not everybody. So yeah, they might not be able to see you over there, but we are gathered here. So of the people that are here, actually, I think I have the list. So this part will all be edited out. Or if you're watching this, I didn't edit it out.
Can we do a shout out to Katie? Hi, Katie.
Okay, Lit and Math 2 and US History, or what are you taking?
Yeah.
Okay, all three?
Yeah.
Same.
Okay. And
I'm not doing math too.
Okay.
I'm doing Spanish. App span.
okay, cool. So then the funny thing is you're the one who could leave after half an hour, but
Yeah,
don't really
I know.
All right, and where are you all signed up? Do you know?
Mission.
Reardon. I think SI again.
Okay. Have you done anything with subject tests so far? Okay. So I'm going to send everybody right now online. I just found like 3 prep books that somebody just put up online. You know, obviously, I'd encourage you to buy your own if you want them, but for now, I'll just kind of send you these so you have them. So these are for history, lit, and math too. Oops. Subject has books. Hopefully this won't take too long to send. Any excitement in our lives since we last spoke?
Well, we got the SAT scores.
Right.
Yeah.
Is everybody? Did I get yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that should be me. Oh no, it's still sending. Actually, it's not me. Yeah, I'm on my spring break. I'm leaving on Wednesday for a week, which will be
Where are you going?
nice. LA to play golf, and then I have my first tournament for the season on my way back in
Golf
Monterey.
tournament?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks. Are you sure you sent? Did you text me or?
Yeah, I texted you.
I'm
We had a little text combo.
sure we did. My phone's over there, but
I can email it to you if you want.
yeah, well, we're talking if you don't mind. But let's see. I mean, I feel like, you know. Well, let me see what Zoe's are. But I mean, for you two, we already chatted, and pretty good start. So, you know, doesn't mean you can't do better, but I think it's a pretty good start. Everybody out there, hope you did great. Yeah.
Is it worth it to retake it just for the essay?
So, I mean, I guess what I'd say is that I don't know that you'd have much to. You really don't ever have much to lose by taking it again. You know, unless you're on like your 4th try. If you go down, it's not really going to hurt you. If you go up on one section, it might help you if the school super scores. Maybe you'll go up on everything. It's probably not something that could go really bad. A lot of people, basically everybody got like 6.56 on the essay. I mean, just like in general. I have one student's essay who got 7.77. I'm going to see what she did. Yeah, just to kind of see what they look like. And I'll probably pass that one along once I get it. But subject tests. So, you know the basics. They're an hour long each. They're all multiple choice. There's no essays, there's no grid-ins, anything like that. Doesn't sound like any of you are going to change your minds when you go in there, but you do actually have the ability to change your mind or like take an extra one or take one less. Not that you should really be doing that. One significant thing, scoring system-wise, there's a slight difference. So there's a wrong answer penalty on subject tests.
All of them?
97% of people have a completely wrong idea of what that means. Here's what it means. If you never get to a question, or if you have no clue, it doesn't help you to put a random guess.
Oh.
If you have even the slightest idea, including if you can even eliminate one of the answer choices, it is to your advantage to guess. Clear? It actually makes life easier for you. The strategy is precisely the same as it is on the other tests you've taken, except you don't need to save time to randomly bubble in things at the end. Nothing else changes. Any questions on that? When you do your practice tests, they'll give you instructions on how to score that. Another thing I want to point out is, and not to, it isn't meant to intimidate, but just in terms of, what's good on subject tests. So if you have a computer in front of you, why don't, or maybe you want to switch so that you have a computer to look at?
Okay.
Google subject test percentiles. And then click on not the chart, but the first link below the chart. That's like the official College Board one.
What are we looking at?
Google subject test percentiles. Google subject test percentiles. Good job. I'm great at this remote lesson thing. And click on not the chart, but the first link below the chart. That's actually the College Board link, and that should pop up with a whole bunch of percentile scores. Yeah.
PDF.
Yep. What you see there is that 500 is not an average score and 700 is not a brilliant score. Now, when you take your practice test, you'll have scoring instructions so you can kind of see where you are. But a good score, for you all on a subject test, depending what it is, literature, good score is probably something over 700. Just a good score. U.S. history, good score is probably something over 700. Math 2, a good score is something 750 and up.
750.
That doesn't mean that you can only miss one question or something. You can miss some questions, but when you're doing your scoring and you say, oh, I got a 650, that's pretty good. Well, no, it's actually not. The subject test scores are much higher. The funny one, if you scroll to the second page of that,
Like the language percentages?
sorry, the fourth page or the third page. Yeah.
Chinese.
Right, because you don't take the Chinese subject test unless you know Chinese, right? And so 800 is 64th percentile. In other words, more than a third of the people who take it get an 800 because, of course, they do because they know Chinese. Spanish. Spanish is more standard. If you get 700 or above, that's a very good score in Spanish. So that just kind of sets your expectations of what's good. 700, or if you're doing math, 750 and above is really what's good. I'm not talking great, I'm talking good. So there's that. I know that nominally subject tests are supposed to measure the things that you've learned in class. There's more to it than that. Literature requires prep, Math 2 requires prep. U.S. history is probably the only one that really doesn't for you all. That's the one that's pretty much straight out of school. Go through the sample questions, get a feel for the timing. You can even compare it to like AP exam timing. I don't know, but it's pretty close. That's the only one you really don't have to do anything extra for. You just go in there and take it. Are you all in APUSH? You're not, but you're taking U.S. history, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but same deal. I mean,
Yeah. I'm taking the exam. So.
You are? Okay. Yeah. So there's really nothing else you would do for that test. Any general questions about subject tests before we get to literature? No. Okay. Let's see if the thing sent. Did the thing send?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you're following along at home, go to that email that I sent and open up the literature PDF. Which you'll see is a whole book, and I guess it's pirated. Buy your own. I encourage you to buy your own, so that you can use it for a week and a half and never use it again. All right, so literature is it's equivalent basically to AP Lit, not AP Lang. So short version is it is analysis of poetry and prose with a median date of around 1800, maybe 1850. It's fairly, you know, not quite evenly balanced, but you'll get some like Shakespearean era stuff, some 1700s type stuff, a lot of 1800s, early 1900s, some modern. It's kind of full all the way across, poetry and prose, but all short passages. You know, basically SAT passage length, or usually a little bit shorter. Approximately 61, 62, 63 questions, somewhere in there. Depends on exactly what the passages are. So if we want to just scroll through it at the beginning, the top 15 things you need to know about literature, just to kind of see what's there. One of the things you'll notice is that a lot of it is literary terms. So rhetorical devices, you know, poetry terms, different types of structure, different rhyme schemes, literary devices, all this kind of stuff. This is not like SAT reading. This is a deeper analysis. This is like, you know, I say capital L literature, you know what I mean? So that's the deal with it. Let me show you in this book, let me make sure I know my way around this book. Let's go to, let's just go to the first practice test. I'll just kind of show you some of the stuff that's there. Let's see if we can figure out what page that is. So in the book, it's like page 110, 105, something like that. Yeah, it's the numbered page 107 in the book. I don't know what page of the PDF. It actually is 107, I think. Now, when we did the SAT in particular and everything else, we said save the hard passages for last, do the easy passages first. Same thing applies here. One thing you'll figure out in your practice is how comfortable you feel with old passages. You know, this is 1862, which is kind of in the middle. If you get one that's like 1612, you may want to save that one until last. Other thing in terms of timing is sort of the ratio of reading time to questions. So here, I mean, I know there might be some tough questions, but you only have to read 12 lines and then you get to do, you know, 9 questions. So you might say, well, that's a pretty good investment in time. But let's do this. And I haven't done this passage. Let's do it. So one thing you'll figure out during, you know, even if you just do a couple of practice tests, is whether you have time to read through the questions first. I think you probably do. So take a moment and just read the questions first. I'm just going to make sure we're still filming. Sweet. Notice they give dates for everything, so you can very easily tell what's old, what's new.
Oh, wait, page 107.
Yeah, it's the I Died for Beauty.
Oh. Wrong place.
Right? Yeah. So let me know when you've read that. And we can get started. We'll kind of, you know, chat about the questions as we go along, but just to give you an idea of what kind of stuff is on here. I would say that for somebody who's being serious about this test, which you might now, you might in August, whatever, getting comfortable with the older language is a significant thing. Probably half of the passages will be this older. Did we have a chance to do one? All right, what do we think for one? Cool. Woohoo, going great.
B.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Whether they say themself or they, there isn't like a really easy way to say, oh, here are the 10 old sounding words that you need to know, and here's what they mean. Although, you should be comfortable with thee, thou, thine, which basically all mean you or your. Hence, whither, all these kinds of words. There's probably about 10 of them actually that you can get comfortable with. Sometimes they just say things weird. So good with B on number 1. They are one, themselves are one, same thing. All right, numero dos. This is not SAT reading anymore, is it? All right, thoughts on 2?
B.
I mean,
Maybe.
if nothing else, we can take out some that we know don't make sense. Probably not C, right?
Yeah.
Probably not D. That it just doesn't quite relate. Again, E would be a stretch, right? Okay, so if we're looking at A and B, if the speaker was trying to say, I died because of beauty, is there any way that could square with, I'm looking at answer choice B, is there any way that could square with, I died for beauty? Is there any way that could mean I died because I was beautiful? Also, why would you die because you were beautiful?
Yeah.
It is still real life. The answers still have to make some kind of sense, even when the language is difficult. So A is the answer there. One clue there maybe is that beauty is capitalized, indicating that it's more of a conceptual thing.
Yeah. And A
rather than just like some person's beauty.
A is the only choice that uses the word for.
That's true, yeah. Which, it could just as easily be a trick, but it's at least worth looking at, for sure. Okay, number 3. Also, to give you an idea, just on the sample scoring scale for this exam, we kind of set, 700 and 750 is sort of our target numbers. 700, you've got to get about 3/4 of them right. 750, you've got to get about, 85, 82, 85% of them right. You don't have to get everything right, although still a pretty strong majority. Okay, any thoughts on number 3?
E.
E, yeah. And there's a lot of analysis that goes in that. It says truth and beauty are one. Okay, so then we both believe in the same thing, and then therefore we're brothers. And so it's full on capital L literature, capital A analysis. All right, number 4. I think pretty much between A and B, right? Do we know what melancholy means?
Somber.
Yeah, somber and sad. All right, so let's see. Do we vote for melancholy or philosophical?
Melancholy.
Based on?
Because I think because of process of elimination, because I think it's not philosophical,
Mm.
because philosophical means there would be like some type of reasoning or like something.
Okay. Anybody want to argue for philosophical?
Well, for philosophical, I don't know. Maybe that's just because I'm studying it right now in April Lane, but
Mhm.
just like I've learned that like not every philosophical piece is like a lot of it's framed as like a narrative or a poem. Like it's not
Mhm.
always like an argument or like an outlined,
Mhm.
you know, like argumentative
Yeah.
essay or persuasive essay. So like I can definitely see how it can be persuasive, especially with capitalization of beauty and truth.
Mhm. It does end up being philosophical, is the correct answer. And I think, although it seems melancholy because they're supposedly dead, it never actually indicates sadness of any sort. Even the moss reaching our lips and covering up our names is. It's sort of just that's when they stopped. The philosophical part, he questioned, another person answered and gave a logical answer. So, yeah, so 4 is A, philosophical. Alrighty, number 5. Okay, what do we think for 5?
D.
Yeah, so that's sort of. I think the other 4 answer choices aren't quite as reasonable as maybe other questions. So yeah, okay. Number 6. Did I do that right? I checked my answers before, but now I'm even doubting that I wrote this one down right. Okay, what do we think for 6?
A.
Yeah.
That's weird though.
Yeah, why do we... Explain it to me since I apparently missed it. Why do we think A verse 6?
Because it's talking about like the moss reaching our lips, and maybe like you could like imagine like plant growth, and like that takes like a long time.
Yeah, I guess
And
that's
it's
a good,
the only
that's a
one
good
talking
point.
about time.
And they're already dead, so.
Right. Yeah.
Was that C?
No, it's, yeah. Or D. They could not talk because they were dead. Okay. All right. 3 more. 7.
B. Do you want to?
Yeah, good with B. Like, supposedly they actually were in a tomb because, again, they were dead. So it's the kind of thing that you get. That, you know, this is the sort of stuff that you'll certainly need to study more than just like practice.
A.
How many lines is that?
12.
12.
Failed, replied. Well, it's not a couplet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Are-
not a quatrain.
Yeah.
say A or E.
Yeah, let's see. It's not. Yeah, it's not free verse. It's too structured. Well, no, free verse isn't completely unstructured. I mean, this is what you study. There's like free verse and blank verse, and I forget which is which. So the answer to this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 7, right?
8.
8 is E.
Are A and E mutually exclusive? I feel like it could be
Let's see what a ballad is.
theoretically both.
A ballad.
But a ballad is more like a song, a
Yeah.
full story.
But like a story. And
Narrating
like
a story in short stanzas. So ballad versus, what was the answer? Free verse?
Narrative.
Narrative.
Poem. Can't it kind of be both?
Let's see here.
How many lines are in a sonnet? I know that is it
14?
14?
Yeah.
It's 14.
That's the. Do you remember the scheme for it? Let's see here. Apparently, a ballad's usually sung, which.
I mean, that's like the only like that's only how I could hear it in the
Yeah.
song.
Okay. But you'll want to know the definitions of those other 4 things too, along with all the other different kinds. And number 9.
Is it A?
Maybe E.
This is a challenging question, isn't it? Let's see what we think about each one. They are both dead. They are both dead. Do the 2 characters feel that they are kinsmen for that reason, regardless of what we think? Is that why they feel? Because that's what the question says. I don't think it says that, does it? They're brethren and kinsmen because one died for beauty, one died for truth, and they're the same thing. They died for similar reasons. That has to be based on what we just said. Their truth and beauty are the same thing, and so they died for them, and so they died for similar reasons. And then what do we think about they care about the same things?
Well, I think probably.
Yeah.
Because if they died for similar reasons.
Right. Yeah, and I suppose we can also infer that since they talked for years, they probably had that in common as well. So yes, the answer is C for that one. So welcome to literature subject test. I'll just show you elsewhere in this book. Let's see where precisely. So if you go to page 41, I think is the right place. Yeah, 41.
On the PDF or the full book?
Aren't the numbers the same?
Not on mine.
It's 41 with the numbers printed on the book. And you'll see there's just, you know, a handful of chapters there on literary devices, rhetorical devices, terms that come up in nonfiction versus fiction and whatever. You know, as you can see, I mean, we just had a question or two, but those things come up. I mean, metaphor is an obvious one, but that came up, and then the different types of poems or poetic structures came up. They do come up, and you can get questions on the obscure ones too. It's not just like simile and metaphor, and yay, you're done. It kind of does the whole thing. So that's the general
This
idea.
is one of our warm-ups in musical theater. This
Oh, I've
example of
done that
alliteration.
too. Yeah.
Which one?
To sit in solemn silence.
So there's the deal. Remember again to do passages in the order that they're most beneficial to you, not necessarily in the order in which they're given. And you'll find out from your practice if this is a test you can finish. The nice thing here is it only takes an hour to do the whole thing, so you kind of know what the deal is. Anything else on literature for now? Okay, I'm going to stop and then make a different recording for math.